There is no climate crisis. It is a hoax. They've been crying about the climate sky falling for 40 years now, predicting the world would end in 12 years. It is a lie.
We are sacrificing, you are sacrificing American families at the altar of climate change.
I don't know about you guys, but I think climate change is, as Lord Monkton said, okay? And by the way, it is.
We need to hold the Democrats accountable and defund all of their climate garbage.
Is the climate changing because of human activity?
In my opinion, you have a thing called weather, and you go up and you go down. So now they just talk about climate change. The climate's always been changing.
I'm asking your personal opinion.
My personal opinion is immaterial.
Really?
To the job of
you are going to be the head of the agency to protect the environment, and your personal feelings about whether climate change is caused by human activity and carbon emissions is immaterial?
Just as the tobacco industry offered us things like filtered cigarettes when the science became totally clear that smoking cigarettes was killing people, we now hear the fossil fuel industry and their allies here in Congress offering us essentially filtered cigarettes. Fossil fuel that somehow here in the US is a little bit less planet killing than what the Russians put on the market, but it's still killing the planet. We don't have time for fake solutions. We don't have time for filtered cigarettes.
I am submitting this report as my testimony because I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the scientists. And I want you to unite behind the science. And then I want you to take real action.
Could you expand on why it's so important to listen to the science?
Well, I don't see a reason to not listen to the science. It's just such a thing that we should be taking for granted, that we listen to the current best available united science. It's just something that everyone should do. This is not political opinions, political views or my opinions. This is the science. So, yeah.
Climate change poses an existential threat to our lives, to our economy, and the threat is here. It's not going to get any better. The question, can it get worse? We can stop it from getting worse. And when I talk about building back better, and Chuck is fighting for my program, our program on the Hill, when I talk about building back better, I mean you can't build to what it was before this last storm. You got to build better so if the storm occurred again, there would be no damage. And so, folks, we got to listen to the scientists and the economists and the national security experts. They all tell us this is code red. The nation and the world are in peril. And that's not hyperbole. That is a fact.
Dr. Mann, as climate change worsens, we know through scientific consensus and modeling that more environmental disasters are to come, correct?
Absolutely.
Now, and Mr. Witt, FEMA is, as its name implies, it's the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Its primary responsibility is in the short-term and emergency management of natural disasters, correct?
It's short-term, long-term.
Short-term and long-term. Do you believe that the agency is fully resourced and is actively planning for the full-term transition of the United States infrastructure to accommodate for sea level rises and other changes brought by natural disasters and climate change?
I think that there's a lot that needs to be done, as Mr. Curry had said earlier, particularly in the training side of employees and new employees that's come on board. I had 2,600 employees, full-time employees, and I think they've got almost 9,000 now. But they've had 220 federal disasters in 2 years. I had 340 in 8 years. So you can tell that it's changing very quickly.
Climate change has arrived. Americans need only look out their windows to confirm it. Bigger wildfires, heavier precipitation causing rain bombs, deeper droughts, greater temperature extremes, and sea level rise have pummeled all 50 states and the territories. Just yesterday, at the very edge of the Arctic Ocean, in the northernmost community in Alaska, temperatures hit a historic high, 40 degrees, even in the dark of winter. That's 6 degrees higher than the previous record. 2022 marks the 8th straight year with at least $10 billion weather and climate disasters, according to NOAA. Climate-worsened disasters come not only at a high financial cost, they also take lives, undermine public health, and threaten national security. They inflict misery upon millions.